Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. The MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki and Brian are talking about movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. This is episode 87, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zaki Hassan, and with me once more is my good friend Brian Hall.
Hey, what's up, Zaki?
How's it going?
It's good. It's good. I'm ready to podcast.
Yeah? Well, I wish Hollywood would cooperate because we're in the dead days of the year where it's basically a garbage dump for the next couple weeks.
I know. But I reached out to you. It's like, so what are we going to talk about this week?
Yeah, exactly. So we're like, well, we'll think of something.
Yeah.
So folks, cut us some slack. This is we'll make it up as we go along. It's the Indiana Jones style episode.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, here's the thing though. Now that there's less that I need to go out and see, I find there are more things at home that I can catch up on that I missed.
Sure.
First go around. So one of those is Love and Mercy. Have you heard of this movie about
I still need to see
Brian Wilson?
Still need to see it.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting, the story of Brian Wilson, because, for people who don't know, he was kind of the brainchild of the Beach Boys. And I think it's easy to remember the Beach Boys as these sort of really almost sort of silly sounding, very skillful, but sort of playful, beachy sort of songs that you hear turned into like little nursery rhymes now, like Kids Bop, singing like Help Me Rhonda or something like that. But the Beach Boys were, Brian Wilson was a musical genius, and him and the Beatles were basically in a competitive little friendly back and forth even. Paul McCartney adored the Beach Boys and the Beach Boys adored the Beatles. And so it's really, I was curious to see a take on who this guy was then, because it seems like, we all know, we can all name all the Beatles, but we can't name all the Beach Boys. So I wanted to get into this story and see what it was all about. And especially too, people of our ilk, we know the song by the Bare Naked Ladies, lying in bed, just like Brian Wilson did.
Right.
And I had no idea what that meant.
And now you do.
Yeah. And now I do. And so what's interesting though, is this isn't a real straightforward take on the Beach Boys or Brian Wilson for that matter. It's a kind of an interesting parallel, sort of like Godfather 2-ish sort of thing, where you're jumping between timelines back and forth. Mm-hmm. And you have Paul Dano playing Brian Wilson in the 60s as they're recording Pet Sounds, which is widely regarded as one of the best rock and roll albums of all time. And then you have John Cusack playing Brian Wilson in late 80s, early 90s, after he had his whole episode where he was in bed for years. Right. And suffering from, mental illness. And it's interesting. It doesn't really spell things out for you. You just kind of jump between these two timelines and try to piece together what's happening and what has happened and has put him into the states that he's in. It's fairly indie. It feels like an indie film.
Sure.
And, I don't mean that in a bad way. I thought it was pretty effective, but I could see a lot of people stepping into this thinking they're going to walk the line or something. And this is not that.
Right. Well, we gave Paul Dano the Best Actor Award here in the San Francisco Film Critic Awards.
For this?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. It's, like I said, personally, this is a really interesting subject matter for me. And they spend a lot of time in the studio, like I said, as he's making Pet Sounds. And apparently, you will watch him go around to musicians and instruct them on exactly how he wants their instruments, their cellos, their whatever to sound. And apparently a lot of that dialogue was directly lifted from tapes from those sessions.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty, gets into minutia a little bit, but personally I found that pretty fascinating and I really enjoyed it. And then of course it wouldn't be a movie in 2015 if you didn't have Paul Giamatti playing an evil music manager.
Oh, of course.
Trying to steer someone wrong.
Yeah, well, that's just called the Paul Giamatti role now.
The Paul Giamatti, yeah. But he does it well. You gotta give it to him.
We need a Paul Giamatti type for the Paul Giamatti role.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Banks is also in this movie, which I didn't know, as the woman in the later years of Brian Wilson's life who helped him kind of course correct. So, and she does a really good job. Like I kind of wondered when they introduced her, I was like, oh, Elizabeth Banks. I mean, she seems like not the type of person who would come in just to play the female role.
Sure.
Because typically a movie like this has the female role, but she has, much more to do in this. And so, which was kind of nice, and they used her well. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I think if that what I said sounds interesting, I think you'd probably enjoy it, but I could see where a lot of people might start to lose interest maybe about halfway through and just see that it's not going to lay things out for you. You just kind of have to absorb what it's putting in front of you.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I'm still hoping to catch it.
Yeah, I recommend it, and you'll have to tell me what you think after you see it.
Yeah. But, well, what else have you caught lately?
Let's see. What else did I watch? Okay, so I have never seen 48 Hours before,
which is the news magazine show.
Yes, I went back and watched the tapes. Turns out nursing homes are not a pleasant place to be. Remember when that was a thing for like a long time? I'm sure it sadly still is, but that was like a huge kind of like there's like themes on daytime. This is a total tangent here, but like daytime talk shows. Like remember with like Jenny Jones,
sure,
Maury Povich. It was like first it was like it was like racists, like the KKK. That was kind of like a late '80s thing, and then all of a sudden it became like you are not the father, and then it became we're sending your bratty kid to boot camp, and that was like a whole several years.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then nursing home scams are a whole other thing. Anyway, I'm talking about 48 Hours.
The movie.
The movie.
A Walter Hill movie.
Yes, Walter Hill, Eddie Murphy, I believe in his first feature film role with Nick Nolte. And this is, whether or not it is.
This is what launched Eddie Murphy into superstardom.
Absolutely. And it is credited, whether or not this is true, and it probably isn't, but as starting the buddy cop genre. And not like there hasn't been a movie with, partners who relied on each other, crime stories, but this is like the mismatched duo. They hate each other, then they love each other sort of formula.
Listen here, convict. I'm not your partner. I'm not your friend.
Hey, is Nick Nolte in the room here? It is actually interesting, too, to hear 1981.
Nick Nolte has always sounded like an old man.
Well, I was just going to say, because he sounds kind of gravelly there, but knowing where he's at now, where you're like, holy crap, like, I think you need to see a doctor, because that voice is like, every word you utter out is like hurting you more. I mean, it's kind of amazing, right?
It's weird to like watch that movie, and it's funny that you bring up 48 Hours because I happened to just be watching a couple of clips from it just a couple weeks ago. Really? And I mean, Nick Nolte, just by chance, and Nick Nolte is like a handsome, like, strapping guy. Like you can see him being sort of a heartthrob.
Yeah, like a harder Robert Redford almost.
Yeah, right. And now he looks like the Unabomber's less kempt cousin, Yeah.
But that damn voice, I mean, like, he sounds like, the expression when they say, like, sounds like he's gargling rocks or whatever, like, I mean, it really does. It's kind of amazing. I don't know. Anyway, not to pick on the voice. But anyway, 48 Hours, it was.
So you had never seen it. You had never seen
it. It was starting on TV, and I was like, I want to see this. It's kind of somewhat of a modern classic in many ways, and I wanted to see what the dawning of the buddy cop genre was like. And my first impression about 30 minutes in was, this movie is so racist. like the hero of the movie, Nick Nolte, he is calling Eddie Murphy unspeakable things.
Yep.
And I was really surprised. And I was like, what year did this movie come out? I mean, we'll get to the movie in a minute, but I really did trip me up. I was like, that I can't believe this movie came out when I was alive. Right. The main star of this movie is saying these awful things. And then sure enough, he has this change of heart and he apologizes for them and whatnot. But it was really surprising, jarring to me. But anyway, that aside, it was really interesting to see the template laid out for what would become Lethal Weapon, Rush Hour, what all the way through what the other guys, where they're almost even sort of winking at the genre and whatnot. But what I thought was fascinating about it, one of the things was the villains in this movie. It basically starts off with a bad guy taking a bad guy off a chain gang and they're on the loose, and they shoot a cop, and now they got to get him. And what I thought was interesting about it was how simple that was. Like, it's just a bad guy who shot a guy. Like, now it would be like, well, this whole huge shipment of like microchips that could bring down the Pentagon, which will crush the world economy. You know what I mean? It's like, and only 2 mismatched cops can stop it all. Like, it was really interesting to see like a totally stripped down, like, no, just a bad dude. He's out there. Let's go get him. Like, you're streetwise. I'm like cop, tough, and like, let's work together and figure this out. So it was interesting. I would say it was fun. I don't think it's required viewing if you haven't seen it. It's one of those things where you can appreciate the things that you like and seeing where they sort of came from. But it's aged a bit, and I don't know. What's your take on that movie?
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I haven't seen it the whole way through in more than 15 years, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember enjoying it for what it was. It definitely didn't leave a lasting mark on me.
Yeah, it was a perfectly passable, like, hour 45 minutes kind of a thing. But yeah, it wasn't anything that I felt strongly about.
Well, and that they made a sequel to that about 6 years later or so.
Another 48 hours.
Another 48 hours, which was a disaster.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. It was, Walter Hill had released, his work print was like, 140 minutes, and they cut that down to 120, but Paramount didn't like it, so they got it down to like 90 minutes.
Oh, wow.
which is always a bad sign, right?
Yeah. All right.
And I mean, I think, it made like 150 million worldwide, but domestically it was a disappointment. This was like summer of, I want to say it was, I think it was 1990 when it came out. And
feels right.
It was, Paramount had a run of bad luck, and I know Another 48 Hours is cited as one of those films. And when you think about it, it kind of makes sense, because by then Lethal Weapon basically owned the buddy cop genre. Right. So it was kind of like, well, there was nothing new being offered, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, it was a perfectly good passing by on cable watch. But speaking of cable, the other night, just yesterday, I caught American Crime Story.
Oh man, I really want to watch this.
Yeah, I think it's called The People versus O.J. Simpson is the additional title. But anyway, yeah. So this is. I was a little worried because the name attached to it is Ryan Murphy, he of Glee fame and American Horror Story and whatnot. And I don't watch those shows. I have nothing against those shows, but I know that they're of a certain sort of genre where they're a little over the top and kind of, I don't know if schlocky is the right word, but they're pulpy and poppy and, whatever. And I was kind of hoping this is, the whole O.J. Simpson trial is something that you and I lived through. Like, we remember this.
And Brian, it feels like a few weeks ago.
It does. It absolutely does. And that's what sort of fascinates me, because I want to see this dramatized. Like, I'm interested to see how this is interpreted. So I was sort of hoping it was in good hands is what I was getting at. And
sure.
And what I've come to find out is that actually he's really just an executive producer. It kind of has his name on it and probably helped usher it through.
Sure.
But, I was pleasantly surprised when I watched it yesterday. I think it was on my DVR with commercials and all. It was about an hour, 20 minutes. And it just, breezed by. And I was like clamoring for the next one. I think it took me back. If I can even explain it correctly, just the way that it's shot and the colors, like the palette that they shot this thing with, I don't even know how to say it, but like it reminded me of that time.
Wow.
It reminded me of the footage that I saw on television. And, they showed what's coming. They're not the trial yet, but just showing the trial, I was like, that looks exactly how I remember it on television.
Wow.
So, Sarah Paulson as Marcia Clark is immediately.
Which is great casting.
Great casting, yeah. And she's already, again, because I know who she is. I know who Marcia Clark is. And I remember the things that I remember from the news. But it's really interesting to see this dramatized and to see this show telling me, I don't know.
Is Mike Myers Judge Ito? That's the real question.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is like you forget. Like, this was a thing. This is a murder trial. Like, 2 people were slaughtered. But then it became this thing where on the Tonight Show, they would have the dancing Itos. Yeah, it'd be like a chorus line of people dressed like the judge from this murder trial. Like,
surreal.
A crazy, crazy moment in time. And so, Yeah. Well, and I also wanted to mention Cuba Gooding Jr. as O.J. Simpson.
So how is he?
He's really good. He's really good. And it's the only thing I'd say is, knowing OJ like I do from like the Naked Gun films, like I am familiar with him. I don't remember him from football so much because of my age, but I do remember him from acting and whatnot.
Yeah.
And Cuba Gooding Jr. has a higher pitched voice, and OJ has a low pitched voice. And so it's a little like sometimes I would catch myself trying to reconcile that he's OJ. Just because I think of OJ as a little more menacing because of his lower voice, and like if he was yelling at someone, it would feel a little more threatening. And when Cuba does it, it sounds a little more panicked. Yeah, because it's a higher. But it's it's interesting seeing Cuba Gooding Jr. aged even. He's still kind of stuck in my mind around Jerry Maguire and whatnot. But he definitely has got when they say with actors who've aged and got the wrinkles, like it just adds character to their face. I was definitely feeling that with him and. I'm really clamoring for the next one, like I said. So
I've been hearing fantastic
talk about it with you.
This is definitely one that I'm most likely I'll purchase like a season pass so that I can watch it.
Yeah. So,
but while we're talking about TV, I want to mention the revival of the X-Files.
Right.
Which I don't know if you were ever an X-Files fan back when it was on.
No, I wasn't for it or against it. I just somehow kind of missed it.
You missed a lot of things, Brian.
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of weird because, like, you realize just how omnipresent the X-Files was. Certainly when we were coming up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where even if you've never seen an episode of it, you know Mulder and Scully.
Oh yeah.
You know that
cigarette
music.
Smoking man and all that stuff. I've never seen the show, and I know all that stuff.
You know the iconography. You know the music.
Yeah.
So, and the series lasted for 9 seasons, and it was a shadow of itself by the time it ended, even though, they had brought in Robert Patrick as like a co-lead, and he was great on the show, I thought.
Yeah.
And so it ended in 2002. And then, 6 years later, they made a movie. They made the second movie.
Right.
And that thing was just a disaster.
That's what I've heard. I never saw it.
They opened it a week after The Dark Knight. So it was literally the Friday after The Dark Knight.
Was that when we went to WonderCon together? And then we saw...
That's right.
What's his name? Chris
all
Carter?
Three of them. Chris Carter, Gillian Anderson, and David Duchovny were there to talk up X-Files, I Want to Believe.
Yeah. And remember, my interpretation was he came off kind of a douchey.
Yeah, I think all three, because it was you, me, and Sean were there.
Yeah.
And the what we all agreed on was David Duchovny is hilarious.
Yeah.
Gillian Anderson is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And Chris Carter, kind of a tool.
Yeah, he came off like very kind of cocky and sort of like, yeah, you're here because you love it. You love me. He had that kind of vibe.
I mean, and that's the ironic thing is that the movie came out, again, week after The Dark Knight, which, I mean, I think in their defense, who could have predicted that The Dark Knight would be the phenomenon that it was?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Right.
I mean, what it became, yeah. No one could have seen that.
However, the movie itself was pretty much garbage. And I always tell the story. I saw it the Monday after it opened. I was in between classes. I had a couple hours. I was like, I'll just catch it. And I was literally the only person in the theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And this isn't like a month after it opened. This is 3 days after it opened. There was no one else in the theater.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, that's not good. So I was like, okay, well, I guess this is the end of the X-Files and, kind of an ignominious finale, but okay, well, they had a run. You can't argue with that. But then, really, I think thanks to bringing back 24 I think it was last year, right?
Yeah.
24 Live Another Day. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
And they realized like, wait a minute, we can do this. We can do this like limited run event TV.
Yeah.
And I think that's what sort of, turned on the light bulb above the Fox executives' head, where they were like, wait a minute, what other IP do we have in the closet? And here's the X-Files. And it's not like, there's still a fan base for it.
Yeah.
And so they came up with the idea, why don't we do a mini season? So they brought the band back together to do 6 episodes.
Yeah, which is great. I love that they're thinking outside of the box like that now.
Yeah,
I mean, because
fantastic.
I thought 24, it had been gone for several years. It came back. I thought it was a really strong season because they weren't forced to do it. It was something that they came up with, the story they wanted to tell. They did it in a shorter span of time, made it the best version possible, and I thought it was a success as a fan. So with the X-Files now, how do you feel with it?
Well, that's the cool thing, man, because it basically it picks up in real time, however many years after the film. But this isn't. It's not being framed like, a one long story or something like that. It's 6 episodes of the show.
Oh, that's interesting.
So the opening credits are exactly the same as the opening credits from the series.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just there's just something very surreal. You feel like you're being transported back in time to, I remember for me, I watched the X-Files when it first started. This was back in fall of '93. It would air Friday nights on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just, I feel like I've been transported back to that, And I would say the first episode was a little shaky, but I liked it. I think by the time of the 3rd episode, which aired just this week, they found their swing. And the only downside is, it's only 3 more episodes, and then the season is done. Well,
I've heard the ratings are phenomenal.
I think they will be back for more, and I think why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, again, the beauty of it is certainly for David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. Like, why not every once in a while take time out and do an X-Files series? Because people love you as these characters.
Yeah. Well, it would be kind of cool too if, you think how there's a Star Wars film every 2 years. Like, what if there was like an X-Files, like 10 episodes every year or 2 or whatever.
Or whenever, right?
Yeah. I like that you don't have to conform to some sort of schedule.
And I think it's indicative. Here's my theory on this. I think the goal ultimately in doing this, and why do 6 episodes? Because that's a way of getting the excitement back up.
Yeah.
You don't have to do too much wrangling. And what does it do? It gives value to the back catalog. Because how many people are binge watching old X-Files episodes?
Right.
And connected to this, I mean, I just read that Gilmore Girls is coming back.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, well, and Full House and all sorts
all
of
this stuff, right? And it's kind of amazing how this stuff can happen. I think really Arrested Development is sort of the leading edge of this trend.
Right. And they, interestingly enough, which I don't think it's discussed a lot, is they used modern technology to pull it off.
Right.
They would have shots with 2 actors who weren't in the same room together, but make them interact because they just couldn't get schedules to line up because there's so many actors. But I mean, that was something they probably couldn't have convincingly pulled off when that show first aired.
Right.
And it's for a comedy, it's not even for some sort of sci-fi show or something.
That's hilarious.
So it's interesting.
So yeah, so I'm happy to have the X-Files back. It's X-Files, it's OJ. What the hell, man?
Yeah.
We're stuck in the 90s.
Yeah.
So a new release that I saw is The Finest Hours, and I'm pretty sure you haven't seen this because most of America didn't see it.
Yeah, me in America.
It opened in something like 5th place. So you might say that it's waterlogged, and it took on water, and it sank at the box office.
Oh, okay.
And then it capsized.
You could do those things. You could do that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done. So this is a true story. It's about a rescue effort that happened in 1952. This crazy storm off the coast of Lake Massachusetts rips an oil tanker in 2. And so the front half of the ship with the bridge and everything sinks right away. And then you've got the back half with the engine and basically the engine room crew is still floating. And somehow on the half of the ship, they need to stay afloat long enough for the Coast Guard to launch a rescue and get these people to safety. Right. So Casey Affleck plays the sort of the de facto leader of the people on the ship. And then Chris Pine is the guy who's leading the effort to get he's the Coast Guard guy.
Okay.
And I got to be honest, I didn't dislike it because I just think the movie has this big heart, so you can't dislike that.
Sure.
But I don't know, it didn't really do anything for me.
I got that vibe just from the trailer alone.
Okay, well, so explain that to me.
Well, I saw the trailer before Star Wars, actually.
Right, me too.
And it's funny because Star Wars was starting and trailers, I was like, oh, we're going to get some good trailers. And when this one came on, it sort of felt like, oh, like we only get like 3. This is one of them, huh? You know, like, and I hate to, dog on it, but it felt like that could be something interesting. And then finding out that it came in January, maybe I'm prejudiced or something, but I just had this immediate like, oh, I think I know what that is.
Right.
And so is that, I guess I'm.
Well, it's, and I didn't see this, but there was in December, there was In the Heart of the Sea.
Right.
And I'm just like, maybe they need to stop making these kinds of movies because they seem like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What kind of disappointed me is Chris Pine, who I like normally. I found him very he wasn't really a character. He was, he just kind of moved through the film. And he's meant to be kind of this soft-spoken guy who's kind of, and that's not the Chris Pine persona that we've come to know.
Sure.
But he was just very flat, and we essentially have 2 storylines. We have the situation on the ship and then, on the shore. And every time we cut away from the ship, I was like, all right, I'm not interested in this. Really? And that's a problem because I think
the Coast Guard effort, you're saying?
The Coast Guard effort, I didn't find it interesting.
And how is that? Like, what was? Is it because they weren't in the middle of the chaos?
Well, they are in the middle of the chaos because they have to navigate this storm to get to the ship, right?
Okay.
But it's I think part of it is that it's obviously them, against a green screen, and it's a lot of CGI waves and things like that. So it's hard, like that in and of itself. Not to say I wanted them actually like risking their life. I didn't want a Leonardo DiCaprio Revenant situation either. Right. But I just I think in terms of the stakes, I didn't feel the stakes the way I felt the stakes on the ship.
Sure. Okay. And
Casey Affleck is excellent in this movie. He's very, very good.
Yeah.
But I can't really recommend it. I know people have really liked it. I just, it didn't do much of anything for me.
Is it a good family movie?
Yes, in the sense that there's nothing gory or sexy about it, but
right. It feels like a movie I would watch with my dad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I've seen it once and I'm not in any hurry to ever see it again.
Right. All right. Well.
But
there you go.
Yep, there you go.
January 2016. Down.
I know, really. Well, we've got like in our next episode we'll be talking about Deadpool.
Deadpool, yeah. And I'm seeing Zoolander next week.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So we'll have a couple, so don't worry, folks.
Oh yeah. What? Hey, don't worry, guys.
Come on, stick with us. But we do have a couple of listener letters that I wanted to send your way, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from Jesse Shade, who asked us via Facebook. He says, "What is your favorite merchandising campaign for a movie?"
Wow, that's really interesting.
I was thinking about this. I was like, part of the fun for some of these big summer blockbuster type movies is like going to the store and starting to see the merch hitting the shelves.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even not even with merchandise, but thinking of Deadpool recently. I mean, there's been so many interesting little ideas that they've had, like even the whole checking yourself for testicular cancer. Did you see that? That little PSA that Deadpool did?
Yeah.
And it was pretty funny, actually. I guess touch yourself is what they're calling it, the touch yourself campaign. And we heard that Deadpool's going to be at the Super Bowl, and they're doing a lot of really fun, kind of interesting things with him. I can't remember anything like that in a while. I guess
I want that movie to do well just to justify the marketing campaign.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Because
all the work and creativity they put into it pays off.
They're thinking outside of the box, and you want to see that rewarded. I have no expectations about the film. I know some people are like chomping at bits to see it. I'm not there, but I hope it does well just for that.
Totally.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of recent merchandising campaigns, it's hard for me to think of because I'm not really in the market for movie merchandise anymore.
I was going to say, it makes me think of like maybe when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that I even pay attention to it a whole lot now, but I remember like I don't know if this was my favorite, but it was a memorable one, was Batman Returns.
Sure.
Because they had, McDonald's would have the toys.
They had those glasses. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and then or the cups, at least is what I remember. Like I would collect the cups. And
they had like 3D kind of render
lenticular thing.
Yeah.
That's what I remember growing up. It's so funny because we're talking about Deadpool and all this crazy outside of the box thinking, but for me, it was McDonald's toys.
Right.
And, I'd want to get a Happy Meal just because I'd want to collect all the. I even remember Back to the Future, the cartoon.
They had a Happy Meal thing for that.
Yeah, which I don't remember being super crazy about the cartoon itself, but I wanted a toy DeLorean because they didn't come out with toys for that movie.
They never did.
Yeah, but you could own a little DeLorean from the McDonald's toy, and I remember really wanting one of those.
It's funny, you're talking about Batman Returns and the marketing for that. I don't know if you remember, but there was a little bit of controversy about all the merchandising that they did for that because it is such a dark movie. Yeah. And, just connecting it to Deadpool, it reminds me of how, there's some mom who's petitioning Fox to release a PG-13 cut of Deadpool because her kid, who's like 8, wants to see it. And I'm like, hey, Mom, how about saying no to your kid?
Right.
I'm going to put that out there as an option,
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Just that she thinks she can be like, excuse me, 20th Century Fox, could you...
Yeah. Right. Well, and there's a petition.
Your director and your team and your sound mixers and your... Could you...
Right.
Your color timers, your...
Well, you almost
Could you make a new version for me?
Well, when I read that article, I was like, it almost seems like another viral thing from the Fox people.
Right.
I mean, you want them to put out a version that's like a hilariously bad PG-13 version.
Yeah.
Like monkey fighting snakes kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pretend like I don't understand where she's coming from because obviously that movie resembles the other movies that I'm sure this kid enjoys.
Sure.
So I can see her sort of predicament, but yeah, at the same time, that's when you have to be a parent.
Look, I mean, you say no to your kid. Like I got 4 of these things, and you know what? They don't get to see every movie.
4 of these things, yeah.
They're wandering around the house. They don't get to watch every. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, can we go see this?" And I say, "No, you're not old enough."
Yeah.
And granted, I'm not going out of my way to show them the Deadpool red band trailer or whatever. Right. But I mean, even like Batman versus Superman, I'm like, well, I don't know,
Yeah. Your kids are like, we want to see Miller's Crossing, and you're like, maybe eventually we'll get there.
Can we watch the re-release of The Big Lebowski? Like,
yeah. I've been hearing good things about Naked Lunch.
Yeah, I can think of 2 things wrong with that title.
Yeah, of course you
do. Here's another question. This is from David, who emailed us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. He says, what are your favorite recent film scores?
This is a very timely question. This is the first time I'm hearing this question, and I actually had this thought.
Wow.
This week. And it happened because I was at work, and I'm the type of guy where I would love to listen to podcasts while I work, but I can't do it. I can't, listen to someone talking in one ear and be thinking about something else,
right
in front of me on my screen. So I have to listen to even music sometimes, like with lyrics. Like I have to listen to film scores. And so I pulled up Interstellar. Okay. And I haven't listened to that one in a while.
Man, I love that score.
So good.
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal score. It's so... there are moments of Hans Zimmeriness in it. And I mean, in a good way, like you can tell that it's him at points, but it is so outside of the box. And it sounds oddly classical. And I don't mean like classical music, but I mean like traditional in its style. And it's also just grandiose with its pipe organ. And
it's probably the best Hans Zimmer score I've heard in, years.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that, and I pulled that one out. And another one that I think I've brought it up before is the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh, interesting.
Was it Alexandra Desplat? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, sure. The guy who did Godzilla.
Yes, and he's going to do Rogue One actually.
Oh, that's right.
And
he's like Gareth Edwards' guy.
Yeah, and but yeah, Grand Budapest Hotel. I really love that score. It's this playful, interesting kind of thing. I'd recommend people kind of preview it on YouTube or whatever and check it out. But I've listened to it. I can't even tell you how many times I've listened to that. Like
Wow.
when I started my new job and the first year. And, I was kind of stressed out because I was still learning things and there was deadlines. I remember like putting that soundtrack in my ears and just kind of getting through it. And so I don't know, I kind of, maybe I'm endeared toward it emotionally in some ways, but it's really good. And it's unlike, I can't compare it to anything else. But I find it enjoyable on its own. That's the thing we complain about too, is a lot of scores these days don't sustain themselves without the movie that they're set against. But these two scores I feel like are really listenable on their own.
Yeah, well, it's funny because Interstellar I listened to enough that at one maybe a month or so ago I was in the car with my kids and my oldest, he's like, "Oh, can you put on No Time for Caution?"
Wow.
Which is hilarious to me.
That's amazing.
That's a track from Interstellar. For those of you who've seen the movie, it's the music when Matt Damon blows up the shuttle thing and they're trying to latch onto it.
Yeah.
And it's a terrific track, right? I mean, Brian Beckman.
No, absolutely. Like I said, I actually was starting to get distracted by how enamored I was with the score as I was listening to it the other day. But I would definitely recommend both of those. But what about for you? What would you?
I tend not to listen to that many recent scores. I do download, and it's. I wonder. I don't think that's a reflection of like the quality of movie music these days. I think it's a reflection of just me getting older and being like, I like what I like.
Mm-hmm.
I still download soundtracks, but I find I listen to them less.
Sure.
Except for like a handful of tracks here or there. One soundtrack I really did enjoy though was Ant-Man.
I don't know that I would remember it. I'd have to look it up.
I thought the theme was nice and kind of bouncy and it's by Christoph Beck, who I'm kind of hot and cold on, but I thought he did a good job with this one. And I've been listening to the Force Awakens score a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, same.
And and that's obviously part of it is just the nostalgia and the warm fuzzy feeling of hearing new John Williams Star Wars music.
Exactly. Yeah. It wasn't my favorite of all the Star Wars soundtracks. I didn't think it was the most when you, like I was saying, when you listen to it independent, I don't feel like it's the most enjoyable independent of the film.
I agree with that.
Star Wars movies, but like you said, like it's still comforting, and familiar, and it's a blanket I like cozying up to. That
there's the one track on there. It's called "Torn Apart," I think, and that's the music for when Kylo Ren has his confrontation with Han Solo. And I'll be damned if I don't just get a little bit like clench in my chest just from listening to the music.
Yeah,
in that particular track.
Oh, one more. Tomorrowland.
Yes,
remember Tomorrowland was a thing.
Yes. Now it's Yesterdayland.
Yeah. No one saw it, but Tomorrowland, the score, very, very good. Michael Giacchino. Yeah, I listened to that one quite a bit too.
Hey, did you? I mean, what did you think of like the Jurassic World score?
I think I listened to it once, and I thought it was fine, but I did, never pulled me back.
Yeah. And isn't that kind of disappointing in and of itself?
I guess I didn't really think about it. But yeah.
Because like I listen to the Jurassic Park soundtrack all the time.
Sure.
And so, like it kind of the same way with like The Force Awakens, like we get another soundtrack set in this universe. And I was like, well, Michael Giacchino, he's good at this kind of thing. I was really hoping that music would catch me in the same way. And I'm a little disappointed it didn't.
Well, it's interesting because this is what John Williams does better than anybody else, which is, I'm not saying any surprising things here, but he scores so many action sequences, but he doesn't do the same thing. Like he doesn't just have the orchestra going like da 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 da. Like he comes up like think of the asteroid field in Empire Strikes Back. Da, na, 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 na. Like it has a theme.
Right.
And when it could have just been like lookout music, da, 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 you know, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And like the Battle of Endor has its own thing that I could hum to you, and you know,
Yeah.
Jabba's the attack on Jabba, all that stuff. The dun dun, you know what I mean? Like you can hum all of it, and so I think it's very like I said, it's enjoyable on its own because it's just entertaining music.
Right.
So what I guess my point being, Jurassic Park, maybe you couldn't hum. Well, you and I probably could, but like, you know, like some of the quote unquote, what on other soundtracks would be maybe filler, actiony, bombastic music.
Yeah.
His is very memorable. And Jurassic World, I don't really remember something sticking out so much, but it certainly did its job.
In the movie.
Yeah, with the movie, yeah.
Right, I agree with that.
So maybe that's why we don't go back to that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would really love people to tell us what they like and what they think about what we're saying. This is
about recent stuff. Yeah.
Just I don't know. I'd really like to know what else people are listening to because I'd like to find some new stuff myself. So
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Well, moving on from there now, we do have some trailers to discuss, and Brian, you know, I realized as we were talking, you know, just in between all the other stuff we've had to talk about, there were a couple of high-profile trailers which we never discussed.
Yeah.
And one of those is Independence Day Resurgence.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? We haven't talked about this at all. Let's play some of the audio from Independence Day.
But as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight.
Fall back!
We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate.
That is definitely bigger than the last one.
So there we go, Brian. Independence Day is coming back, whether we want it to or not. The 90s really are back.
Yeah. You know what's interesting with Independence Day? I saw there was an article. Is this where I saw this? On AV Club today. I want to say February, what is today? 3rd. And it was about Super Bowl trailers that ended up being better than the movie.
Okay.
And one of them they cited was Independence Day.
The original Independence Day.
Yeah, and I can see where a lot of people are like Independence Day, but I'm always like, yeah, Independence Day, it's good. Like I think it's a pretty solid, campy kind of fun movie that I still enjoy watching. So I'm an Independence Day defender. I don't know if it needs defenders, but so yeah, I'm ready to go back. Like I want this movie to be good. I want to go back to this. I was going to say world, but it's funny because this isn't a world that I think about. But sure. I would enjoy watching the first movie again with new things happening.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So I'm in. Yeah. I mean, the president's speech, I mean, that's a speech. Actually, I just watched the Super Bowl commercial for Bud Light or Bud something with Seth Rogen and Amy Schumer. And part of the joke is Seth Rogen quoting the speech from Independence Day. So, I mean, obviously for people our age, that's something that we all joke and cite and will still stir us, and I found it completely effective, repeated in this trailer. What did you think?
The trailer was pretty damn good.
Yeah,
to the point where, like, because I've relatively recently revisited the original Independence Day, and I'm kind of like, okay, you know, like,
yeah,
it to me it hasn't held up as well as it might have. And I think part of it is just because I'm not a kid anymore. And, you know, I mean, there was something about that experience of being a kid and seeing that movie.
Sure.
That probably can never be replicated. But I do think it's just somewhat funny that Bill Pullman is, you know, I mean, it's like making a movie now where Bill Clinton is the hero.
yeah, it's funny.
You know what I mean?
That's a good.
So,
yeah.
but $20 says Pullman dies in this one. He's going to be the Han Solo of this movie.
Okay, I could see that.
That's my prediction.
Sure.
And apparently, Will Smith died in between movies.
I guess, or maybe they'll explain it away that he'll always be he's coming, and then like, oh, we just missed him. Because then they can always bring him back for the third one if he regrets it.
That's what I'm wondering about, because supposedly, according to like the viral content, his character, what was his name? Stephen Hiller.
Oh wow!
Why do I know that? Right?
You love it.
I know, it's so sad. But he like died, testing some alien ship or whatever. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, I'm assuming they're not making this as a one-off. I'm assuming they want to do, Independence ID forever or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, how is that not the title of this movie?
Yeah. What is this one again?
It's the Independence Day Resurgence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah, I feel like they missed out,
Yeah.
But
that'll be 4. That'll be 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That'll be the fourth one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't leave a window for Will Smith to come back. But I was surprised. I mean, it looks pretty like I want to see it.
Yeah.
You know, Jeff Goldblum is back. I think I told you this, right? Like Dean Devlin, who's the producer and co-writer, he back when they were filming, he tweeted a picture of like himself with Goldblum, and had the captions like, David Levinson is back, And I was like, I think you're way more excited about that notion.
Right.
Than anybody. It's not like Ian Malcolm is back,
Right. I mean, I don't remember these people per se. I just enjoyed what was set in front of my eyeballs for 2 hours.
Well, that's kind of interesting, because we don't remember the characters, we remember the actors. You're like, oh, remember the movie where Bill Pullman and Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum fight the aliens?
Yeah, and Harvey Firestein and.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about this? By the way, this like ruined the Nolan Batman movies. I was watching Independence Day, and it's one of the scenes with the Harvey Firestein and my second. He's like, he sounds like Batman.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, he does sound like Batman.
Oh man, that's funny.
But so that's Independence Day, and we do have some newer trailers, and here's one that just came out like 2 days ago, and it hasn't inspired quite as much fervor in me as the Independence Day trailer. This is Alice Through the Looking Glass, the sequel that even less people were demanding than the Independence Day sequel. Yet
that first movie, as we've talked about with Avatar, being this crazy, huge worldwide phenomenon, making $1 billion, whatever, but having sort of not left much of a cultural footprint in our opinions. I'd say the same about Alice in Wonderland. I don't know. I don't have kids, but that was a movie. I mean, that was humongous. What that movie pulled in worldwide. Yeah. But I don't hear anyone referencing it. I don't see any T-shirts. I don't even see toys. I don't see kids playing Alice. It's kind of interesting.
Well, let's play some of the audio from the trailer.
And in our darkest hour, before my final rhyme, she will come back home to Wonderland and turn back the hands of time.
Time is a he. He is not someone you want as your enemy. Please, sir, the Hatter is in danger.
Young lady, your time is up. This cannot be good.
So the only thing that makes this trailer pseudo semi-interesting is the fact that it's narrated by the late, great Alan Rickman.
Right.
And how sad do I feel that I have to use the phrase the late, great Alan Rickman?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
That's a statement I didn't want to be uttering for the next several decades.
Right.
But how are you feeling about this, man?
Oh, probably the same that I did about the first Alice in Wonderland, which was, there's just nothing for me to grab onto.
Yeah.
Right? It just looks like a visual effects sizzle reel.
So it's yet another Oz the Great and Powerful.
Exactly. And I mean, I saw the first Alice in Wonderland, and I remember thinking it was like I walked out like entertained, but I didn't think about it literally as I was walking out the theater. It was just something. It was sensory overload for 2 hours, and then you walked out, and I can't hate on it. Like, there's nothing to dislike, but there's just nothing for me that to grab onto personally.
You're probably not the audience for it.
No.
Yeah.
No. You?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm even less the audience for it because I'm not that big a Tim Burton fan,
Right.
and so I was utterly just, you know, there was no vested interest in the original one, and so for me, the existence of this one is just kind of perplexing because I'm like, clearly, the first one was a functionary of Tim Burton's view of the world.
Right.
So this is like pseudo Burton, and it's directed by James Bobin, by the way, who did the two Muppet reboot movies, which were both fine, I thought.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't want to pin it on him, but I'm just kind of like, if Burton ain't doing it, what's the point of doing it?
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of those things too, where I mean, it could be a good movie, like it could have a really good story and whatnot, but it's just the visuals, the fantastical elements that they, I'm sure, want to use to hook me in aren't doing the trick.
There you go.
Man, just thinking of Tim when you say, you know, being a fan of Tim Burton, like if you ask me if I'm a fan of Tim Burton, I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a while since I've enjoyed a movie of his.
Sure.
And you know, when you think back to when he was just pure Tim Burton, you know, like making Edward Scissorhands or Ed Wood or something like that. I mean, I love Edward Scissorhands. Like that growing up, when I was like 11 or when that came out, I mean, that movie captured my imagination. And to this day, like I'm really, really endeared toward it. I just wish I would love to see another original thought Tim Burton movie, like something from his brain where I want to see a Tim Burton story. I don't want to see a Tim Burton's interpretation of someone else's story. So I hope that there's something like that up ahead, you know, somewhere down the line.
I mean, I think that he'll always have a certain amount of cachet.
Sure. Well, and even with the movies that I don't love of his, there's still a lot to enjoy here and there throughout it, because personally speaking, I do enjoy his style and I enjoy his Elfman and what, you know, Tim Burton brings out of Danny Elfman. I know sometimes it's a little tired for some people, but I still kind of enjoy it. So I would just like to see it. What's the word? I mean, it's dialed up to 11.
Yeah.
You know, right now. And I'd rather just see him not trying to please a bunch of people, you know, Disney and this and that, whatever. I'd rather see him please himself and just, this is the story I want to tell. It's a little thing.
Pleasing himself?
I want to see Tim Burton please himself. Brian Hall, February 3rd, 2000.
Well, let's see if you get your wish, Brian.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Whatever.
Later tonight, you're gonna get an email from Tim Burton just containing like a webcam video file, and it's like, here's what you asked for.
Yeah. Your wish is my command, I guess. I'm gonna interject here a little bit. Going back to that AV Club article I saw where it was like the trailers that were better than the movie.
Yeah.
One of them was Super 8.
Which I would agree with.
Holy crap. That trailer is amazing.
Sure.
That trailer is phenomenal. And I'm not a hater on that film. It didn't live up to what it could have been. And I'm in that camp with that. But that trailer, I want to see that movie. I hope that movie gets made someday. Anyway, throwing that out there.
Well, Cloverfield, I would put in the same boat, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah, I guess we can get to that. But that was crazy because that was the first time. That was like in the internet age where nothing was a surprise. We always knew, oh, this trailer's coming out in a month or this movie's coming out. We know everything about it. But then when the Cloverfield trailer dropped before Transformers, it had been a long time since there had been a genuine surprise.
Right.
Remember that? That was crazy. And then it was like, what was that?
Right.
When was the last time we had that? Oh, I know. Cloverfield 2. That trailer was quite a surprise.
Well, so let's talk about that. So this is the new. Now, I mean, what is this meant to be a sequel?
Well, we don't know. I say that sort of jokingly, but I mean, it's called 10 Cloverfield Lane, right?
Right.
Yeah. If I had to guess, and this is, you know, from reading around, I imagine this is another story that takes place in that reality.
Sure.
It's probably unrelated. That would just be my guess, which I think is kind of cool and interesting. But another instance where a trailer dropped that no one knew was coming. It was from J.J. Abrams, and it was this movie that's coming out in 2 months, and no one knew about it. So pretty interesting. What did you think about it?
I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would just to paint the picture if people haven't seen it, I guess real quick. Just starts off where basically Mary Elizabeth Winstead, John Goodman. Is there someone else? I feel like there's one other person that I cannot recall right now, but they're
drawing a blank. Yeah,
apparently in a bunker, and you realize the girl may be there against her will, and as she's trying to escape, John Goodman's warning her not to go outside. That's all we really know. So,
right.
Yeah, intriguing is, I think, the word you just said, and I agree.
Yeah, it's it's John Gallagher, by the way, the third person who's he's in Short Term 12.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he's also on The Newsroom, which the Aaron Sorkin show that nobody watched, or those who did hated it while they watched it.
Right.
I'm curious about I'm wondering about what the connection is with the previous. With Cloverfield. I'm not going to say previous because we don't know if this is what is it meant to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Is this a universe or is this just a clever nod? I also love the fact that essentially J.J. Abrams, and he didn't direct this, he produced it, but he essentially supervised it while doing Star Wars.
Right.
And I'm like, does he ever sleep?
Yeah, for sure.
Because you'd think that would basically take up your time.
Yeah, I agree. When I heard I'm stealing this from someone, and I wish I could remember who, but they said maybe Cloverfield is sort of like Twilight Zone. Like you're getting another Cloverfield movie. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be at the same monster or whatnot, but it's a genre sort of story told on a smaller scale. Another Cloverfield movie. I was like, that's an interesting theory.
Which I'm not opposed to that,
No, it's cool.
Yeah. Moving on, we do have some headlines. You want to talk about some headlines? So here's the big one, just to start things out. They've officialized. That's not a word. I'm going to make it a word. They've officialized the final Fast and Furious trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that they had talked about before. Now, first of all, the last Furious 7 made $1.5 billion or something ridiculous. So we knew that was not the end of the road, no pun intended. We knew that they were going to do more.
Mm-hmm.
So Vin Diesel has said, okay, there's going to be 2 more after this next one that they're making. So they will be coming out. The next 3 will be coming out 2017, 2019, and 2021. So in other words, the final film will come out 20 years after the first one.
Oh, wow.
Now, you watched The Fast and the Furious in 2001 in the theater, right?
Probably. I saw it the year it came out. Maybe it was on DVD. I don't remember.
So either in the theater or
I saw it in the year that it came out. Yeah,
we're part of it. We get to be like we were.
Yeah, sure.
We were there at the beginning. Would it have even occurred to you that 20 years later you'd be talking about the 10th Fast and Furious movie?
And not only that, but the beloved,
right,
10th film in this series.
Not the straight to video, like Scorpion King 8.
Yeah, or American Pie 7. Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. So Vin Diesel put this out on Instagram. 2 decades, 10 films, 1 saga.
And who would have thought that we would lose Paul Walker?
Right.
In the middle of this.
That too.
And it would continue. Just life marching on over 20 years with this series scattered about. Yeah, it's never could have predicted that. Here's
kind of the interesting thing. So 10 movies, assuming all goes as according to plan as they're intending it to, that would make Fast and Furious having accomplished a feat that no other movie franchise has accomplished. Wow. In the sense that, think about it, there have been 12 Star Trek movies.
Mm-hmm.
But 6 of those had one cast. 4 of those had a different cast and were set at a different time. 2 of those are a reboot.
Right.
There's going to be obviously more than 10 Star Wars movies, but 3 of those are this cast. 3 of those, right? This is one continuous cast, just about, obviously notwithstanding Paul Walker, and one continuous storyline for 10 movies.
For 2 decades.
For 2 decades.
Wow.
So that basically one movie every 2 years.
It's amazing. I am curious what they are going to do. It's interesting framing it as a trilogy because then you got to imagine they have some sort of arc,
right,
thought out. But
I don't know where you go after the last one.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but you have to keep topping yourself.
It's because I posted about this on Facebook and somebody was like, well, that's like 9 racing movies too many. And I was like, well, really only the first 3 are about racing.
Yeah, no, I feel like they've done a pretty good job of making each one feel distinct.
And really at some point in the middle of the series, Vin Diesel became like a cyborg who is impervious to physics,
Yeah.
I was just rewatching Furious 7 the other day where Jason Statham and Vin Diesel drive their cars into each other.
Yeah.
Going like 900 miles an hour.
Right.
And then they kind of like they kind of shake their heads a little bit and get out of their cars and start fighting.
Right.
And I'm like, must be nice to live in a world where that happens after you do that.
Yeah.
But so we can look for 3 more of those. So we will of course be talking about those. On the other hand, one franchise that has run aground, one cyborg that is not coming back, is the Terminator. You sound disappointed, Brian.
I had a thought. I'm going to be candid with you guys. I had a thought, and I realized it was kind of an arrogant thought. And I was sort of like, yeah, that's kind of a douchey thing to think of myself. But here's what I thought. Terminator 5 came out, lost a lot of money. They had a trilogy planned, and now that's not going to happen. And my thought was, how amazing is it that every single person on the planet knew that was going to happen, but the people making the movie?
Well, that's not a douchey thing to say.
But I was like, well, I was like, that's kind of a, they try. That's their plan is not to fail. Like their plan was not to make a bad movie. Right. But I do wonder how they did not see this coming. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have the end of the, I don't know. Seriously, I'm just going to start vomiting, just thoughts right now. But,
go for it.
No, that movie, I have 20,000 thoughts swirling in my head, but there was just so many different things that went wrong with that movie. But because we hear what we hear, it sounds like there was a lot of that movie was passed through different people's hands, and ended up where it ended up, and it turned into what it turned into. And it was just the thing I think both you and I can agree on is it's not a good movie, but it was a good idea.
There's a good idea in there.
There was a good idea in there. And and it did not come out correctly. And I think the fact that we aren't going to be seeing another one anytime soon shouldn't be surprising anybody.
What's disappointing to me is that the one person who I thought really did do a great job in that movie was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, he did exactly what was asked of him, and he also kept up the character that he's created.
Right.
Kyle Reese was completely miscast. I saw The Hunger Games Part 2.
Okay.
Part 2 just recently, and I don't know the actor's name, but the guy who plays Finnick, he's kind of a handsome, kind of funny, kind of whatever guy, part of the team. And there was a part where something crazy happened, something exploded, and he had this smirk on his face, whoa, that was cool. And immediately, I leaned over to my brother. I was like, that guy should have played Kyle Reese.
Right.
I was like, he looks like Kyle Reese. He's got a kind of a smile and a smirk like Kyle Reese, but he also looks kind of tortured. He's going through this thing. I was like, I wonder how much that would have changed if we had felt more endeared toward that character. But,
yeah.
Among other things.
And that's Sam Claflin.
Okay. Yeah. For what it's worth, I think he would have made a better Kyle Reese.
And I'm pretty sure he was on the list of,
Oh, really?
Potential Kyle Reese finalists.
Interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. You know, Terminator, should they make another one? Absolutely, they should make another one. I mean, that's a world that's ripe for the picking. It really is. But it's just, you just got to do it right. And if you don't do it right, you know, you're just going to keep tripping over yourself.
Well, and so I mean, so they had locked in 2 more dates. So before Terminator Genesis even came out, they were like, "Oh, and part 2 is going to be in 2017, and part 3 is going to be in 2019, and you're welcome, you know, in advance." You know, like they were
Yeah.
that sure of themselves. And I mean, it's like you're saying, like you guys are really overestimating the how much affinity people are going to have for this rebooted series. You know,
Right.
So it is baffling. I mean, now is Terminator going away forever? I don't think it is.
No, and it should. I really don't think
valuable in IP.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about those movies though is as B movie as it really seems, you know, like a robot from the future who's got to kill this thing so this war doesn't happen and whatever. Like, there's a lot of still the 2 beloved films. There's a lot of integrity with those movies in the filmmaking, in the storytelling. And I think you can't make a passable Terminator movie. People won't accept that. Like, you have to make a movie. I mean, those first 2 movies came from James Cameron. Like, James Cameron doesn't make bad movies. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't make a pretty good Terminator sequel. People won't accept that. You have to make a good movie that's a Terminator movie. So until that happens. Yeah, and I'm no easy feat. I'm not saying I could do it, but I'm just saying that's what it's going to take to succeed.
Well, so don't expect the rest of those movies anytime soon. But again, I don't think this is the end of the franchise. I think they will keep trying to. They will not stop. It'll tear your effing heart out.
Right.
But another franchise that may be coming back, and this is not from the 90s, this is from the 80s, is Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
Now, I saw this headline, Masters of the Universe feature film, and I got really excited. And then I read a little closer, and it said, to be directed by Mick G. And I punched a hole in my monitor, so I needed
Yeah. Speaking of Terminator sequels.
There you go. He made the one that killed my interest in although, you know, there are people who really love Terminator Salvation. They are wrong, of course.
I rewatched it when I was at my parents' house. I was visiting my parents. It was on cable one night and everyone was in bed, and I watched it. I was like, you know what? This movie isn't terrible, but it's not a good Terminator movie.
It just has no reason to exist.
No. Like it's
and I'm not even trying to be glib about it. I mean, there's just nothing in the film that justifies its existence.
No, as I'll say it, like as a future robot war movie, it is what it is. It's not the worst thing in the world, but as a Terminator movie, I don't feel like it fits, you know, into that universe. But, you know, anyway.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, obviously that's a shame. I mean, I don't know. I've tried. I can't think of a McG movie that I've liked,
except for Charlie's Angels, which, you know, I admit it's good for what it is, but it is silly.
It is exactly what it is.
It is exactly what it is. Yeah.
You know. Now you grew up with He-Man.
Mm-hmm.
You're a He-Man fan.
I like He-Man.
Now, He-Man is one of those concepts where I've been kind of like for the last 10 years. How have they not gone back to the well with this? Because they're bringing everything back.
Well, there was a script a few years ago, I'm sure you're aware, by Justin Marks. Remember,
it was called Grayskull.
Grayskull, yeah, which I read.
Okay, and how was that?
Just really good.
It was good. Okay.
Yeah, and I read. I want to correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought they said they weren't going with that one. They're going to bring in a new writing team. And I'm like, why?
Huh.
It seems like whenever they bring in new people, they always got to bring in new writers. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I get it in theory, but like, if you got something that's good, you know, just because it's been sitting on a shelf for 5 years doesn't mean it's not good. It just means it didn't get made.
Right.
You know, I actually kind of thought that script was pretty, you know, it was serious enough as people require right now in a post Dark Knight world, but it was also still embraced that universe, which I think is important because your main character's name is He-Man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You,
Like,
you have to
let's get real.
justify that somehow.
Yeah. So
The thing with He-Man for me is that, I mean, notwithstanding what you just said, which obviously you need to find an in-story reason for that to make even a lick of sense. But I think that if, in terms of all these like 80s toy properties and whatnot, Masters of the Universe kind of has the playing field to itself.
Yeah.
In terms of its particular, wheelhouse.
Totally.
Fantasy, it's sci-fi. I mean, there's so much in there that somebody with vision could really do something amazing with it.
Yeah. And man, I'm talking to the guy who's going to make this movie. I guess it's McG now. McG?
Yeah. Yes.
It's Brian. Don't make a movie that looks washed out in blue and gray like Lord of the Rings.
Don't
like,
end with the blue beam in the sky.
Don't end with a blue beam in the sky. Don't make everything all dusty and look like every other movie that takes place in some sort of dystopian world. Just stop it.
Yeah.
Like this
Stop
movie,
the insanity.
Stop the insanity. Start something new. Make He-Man look like its own thing. Like He-Man's colorful. You know what I mean? He's got this green tiger and like red saddle on it, and like the sword is cool, and don't feel like it's got to look like everything else. This thing can be its own thing, and it can be cool. Start your own trend. Damn it. Make a good He-Man movie and start a new look. That's what I say.
There you go, McG.
Yeah.
This was the McG moment with Brian Hall.
I'm rooting for you, man. Come on.
Now, another franchise is coming back. This is not the 80s. This is the 90s. This is kind of past our time, I guess, Brian.
Okay, what's this?
It's funny because people are really excited about this. And this is the first time I've really felt like I don't understand any of the excitement for this. You know what I'm talking about. It's the Power Rangers movie.
Yes. Now, if you were to tell me that there was going to be a Power Rangers movie, in my head, I picture something that was made for $20 million, kind of like a Gem and the Holograms kind of thing.
Totally.
Even though that was made for way less.
I'd picture like a 21 Jump Street type thing that's making fun of the whole thing.
See, I don't even picture that. Like that enough of whatever you want to call it, weight and money and whatever put behind it by a studio and actors and whatnot. Like, so I guess what we're getting at is that Elizabeth Banks is going to be in this movie.
Right. No, she's here's Elizabeth Banks. Y'all know what Elizabeth Banks looks like.
Successful actress, director, producer.
Google her image. Go to Google image search.
Yeah. I was in an elevator with her once, by the way, Zaki.
Oh, were you really?
I had so frozen I couldn't even say hello.
Did you lean in and smell her hair? Just picture you doing that. Anyway.
I just had to, this is the only place I get to do this. Drop these stupid name droppy stories.
Well, this is the place, right? So she's going to play Rita Repulsa.
Mm-hmm. Who, if you've seen the show, or actually for those who haven't seen the show,
yeah,
that was a really weird show.
It really was.
Half of it was filmed for, I want to say Japanese. I could be wrong. It was like half a Japanese show incorporated with American actors.
That's right.
So they would film American actors doing certain things that could fit into footage that had already been filmed for a Japanese show. And it was cobbled together, Frankenstein together into a show called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
That's right.
The Rita Repulsa character, I have no idea.
Well, so the original show is called Kyoru Sentai Zyuranger.
Right.
I pulled that from memory.
Seriously?
No, I didn't. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Wouldn't you be impressed if I did, though? So, yeah, like Brian said, so, I mean, they basically took all the costume stuff and all the monster stuff from this Japanese show, and then they just shot these, like, American kids in some warehouse somewhere doing, being at a high school or whatever it was, and they just cut the stuff together. Really, what you have to understand is between the time that Brian and I were kids and the next generation of kids came up, there was this massive drop in IQ. There was like a plague that happened, and it was like a stupid plague.
Oh, wow. All right.
Because I'll tell you something.
I think we might be alienating part of our audience here.
Well, you know what? They need to be alienated. Because I'll tell you something right now. If I was a kid when Power Rangers was on, I would have been like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. True fact.
I am not going to defend it because I didn't watch it, so I have no dog in this fight. But I will say I did like Ultraman. If you remember Ultraman,
I do remember that.
it's pretty much the same thing.
It's kind of the same thing.
But I get it. I get it. We miss this. This is not us. This movie's not for us. But
we're not ignorant idiots.
Okay, like hey, millennials. I'm defending you. Okay, like what you like is totally cool. I didn't watch Pokemon. I know you guys love it. That's cool too.
I ever tell you about this? By the way, it's a total tangent. A couple of years ago, so I'm in my neighborhood. This is actually like the week after my youngest was born. It's like a couple of days after, and we had just taken him to the hospital. So we parked the car, and this guy comes up to me, and he was actually a student who I had in my class like 5 years ago. Okay. Or even longer. And he's like, "Hey, how you been?" And blah, 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 just, shooting the breeze. And he was a good student. And he was like, "Hey, I hate to ask this, but do you mind if I use your restroom?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. That's no problem." So he goes into my restroom, and then he comes out dressed as the Red Power Ranger. And he's like, "Thank you so much." And he leaves.
What?
That's a true thing that happened to me.
I'd be like, to my wife, "Honey, call 911."
I mean, that story could have ended in all kinds of horrible ways, I guess, but
that is not a terrible outcome. You're right. Yeah, just a confusing one.
Apparently he like dresses up for like kids' parties, but I didn't know.
Okay. Well,
I didn't know any of that at the time.
Right.
I was just like, well, that's a weird. Like he emailed me later. He's like, I was like, okay, that's fine. But anyway, so they're making this Power Rangers movie, and it's like a legit thing. Like it's the real deal.
This is crazy. Okay, so what I wanted to say real quick, what we were getting at was half the show was dubbed, right? And the Rita Repulsa character, I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure she was a dubbed character because she was
an Asian woman.
Yes, and she was
who did not look like Elizabeth Banks.
No, but she would have this shrieky voice, and she must have been dubbed because her voice didn't match her lips. It's silly. It's a silly show. I mean, I think even people who love it would now be like, yeah, it was totally nuts. Like,
yet it lasted forever.
I think it's still on. Another incarnation of it. But the fact that Elizabeth Banks is going to play this crazy dubbed character from this silly cheapo show.
I'm wondering if this is the greatest script in history because she has no reason on earth to do this movie.
I don't know. Well, I didn't even think about it, but they also kind of rip off Voltron.
Yes.
Right? They all come together and form some sort of giant thing. Anyway, I feel like I read recently that they're trying to revive Voltron, so I wonder if that puts a wrench in those gears.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, it's not for me. I'm not excited for it. I'm not excited for it. It's not on my radar, but I just think it's kind of fascinating. The Elizabeth Banks, she can do whatever she wants.
She directed Pitch Perfect too, right?
Yeah. She's a successful director. She as a female director, she has the highest grossing movie of any female director. Like she can do whatever she wants.
Is that right?
Yeah. And so it's just really interesting that she's choosing to play this silly villain. Like there must be something to this.
So here's my question. Would you go to see this movie in the theater?
It depends. I don't have any interest in it because I'm not a fan of the show, but if the trailer looked like they came up with something for everybody, like they found a way to make a version of this that will please the people that loved it, and it's looks like a legit, action film story, with a good story and whatnot. Yeah, sure. I'll see anything if it looks good.
I don't know how you top the original Power Rangers movie from.
Right, there was one. You're right.
There were two actually. There were
really.
Yep.
Wow.
The first one though, actually, the villain was a guy named Ivan Ooze, who was played by the way, Paul Freeman from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Really?
Yeah. Belloc.
Beloche.
Wow. So go figure. A lot of people got their start on Power Rangers though, like
Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, that's right. He was he dubbed one of the monsters, right?
Yeah. So hey, it's great.
If it's good enough for Cranston, damn it. Another film, another sequel. to speak about, and this is a sequel I'm still convinced, Brian, that we will never see. I'm going down with this ship.
I can't wait to sit next to you at this movie.
We'll be like, the end credits will be rolling. I'm like, I don't believe it. I don't think it's happening. You're like, Zaki, it just finished. I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
So this is the sequel to Prometheus, which they have now retroactively decided will no longer be referred to as the sequel to Prometheus. I think they've. So actually, see, again, I think I said this before. My original contention still stands. They're not actually making a sequel to Prometheus. I win.
Well, they kind of are because Michael Fassbender's android David apparently is still in it.
That's true. So this is Alien Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it's called, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, and
That's
so Ridley Scott is either promising or threatening this movie, depending on how you felt about Prometheus. And it's meant to. It's set something like 10 years after Prometheus. I think it's 10 years, right? We'd have to look that up.
It's basically about a new crew of people that stumble upon the Michael Fassbender David character
at some point. And where is he? Who knows? Anyway, now
right at the end of Prometheus.
Well, at the end, now we assume that he's become a body because I don't think Fassbender is crazy about playing a head in a bag.
Dude, I would.
Well, I guess if it's an easy paycheck, right? You just shoot him against a blue screen for like a day, you know? Now at the end of Prometheus, and honestly, my memories of that film are so fleeting that I could be wrong about this, but I think basically Fassbender is a disembodied head and Numi Rapace as Elizabeth Shaw, I think her name is.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only survivors, right?
I don't know why it sounds so funny to me. It's like, so where we last left off, Michael Fassbender was a disembodied head who was on an adventure. That's like made up. But yes, that's true.
And they go off. They like take off, don't they?
Yes. Yeah, and I feel like she has his head in a bag, yeah, and
that's
zips
right.
it up, and
he's like talking to her
onwards and upwards, and he's like, yes, yeah.
There you go, and scene. Credits. The reaction to Prometheus, hell, just in this on this show from our departed friend Sean.
I can feel his ire.
Right. Right now.
TV Valley. Yeah.
There's a disturbance in the force. Yeah. So, I mean, this really, I've talked to people who hated Prometheus and then people who love Prometheus. So there are clearly people who want to see a sequel. Latest word is that we were kind of expecting Numi Rapace to come back, and she's not.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that means in story terms, whether that's something to be more or less excited about. I found basically every human character in that film moronic.
Yes. I'm not a hater of that movie. I'm sure that's come up before. I'm not going to defend it. I think it has a lot of problems, and especially as an alien movie.
Without aliens in it.
Yeah. There was things to enjoy for myself, but I think it's smart to leave, aside from Michael Fassbender, because he's Michael Fassbender. I think it's smart to leave everyone else behind, to be like, that was that crew's thing, and now we join another crew, and you can sort of remove it from that film and make it its own thing, and shuttle it back into the alien universe. So
it's just, I think we've said this before, but it's weird to me because you read the interviews with Ridley Scott, and he's just so bound and determined to give us every piece of runway leading up to the original Alien.
Right.
And my whole thing is like, we never needed that.
Right.
Because there's not one piece of exposition you can give us now that will make the original Alien more effective than it is, because it's already an A+.
Right.
And if anything, I mean, I feel like we've lost something, because the mystery of what that ship is and who the aliens, not the aliens, but the pilots of the ship are, like, as the crew is walking around in that ship in the original Alien, like that. I love the fact that they don't even bother to explain it. Right. I love that. I love that it's like, here's this crazy thing, and what is it? I don't know. We got this other story that we're telling here.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's weird to me that Ridley Scott is so bound and determined to take away that mystique.
I don't know. Brothers got to eat. I have no idea.
I guess. Doesn't want to make Martian
Franchises.
2. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, every studio wants their franchise, so.
But I mean, with Alien, there, it's almost like, I mean, there's this, this now it's aborted, the scuttled Blomkamp idea of making sequels.
Right.
I mean, isn't that an Alien movie that people would be more interested in?
You would think.
Right.
Methinks Chappie didn't help.
That's right.
But at the same time, I think that Ridley Scott seems to have an active interest in this, and they don't want to upset Ridley Scott.
So it's one of those things where he made the studio a lot of money with The Martian.
Yeah. And I think he apparently feels, passionate about this, so they're going to let him do the thing he wants to do.
So this is his Riddick, basically?
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
But I mean, what franchise? I mean, this is his franchise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's almost like they're letting him do his franchise so that he'll do their prestige movies.
Yeah.
Which is it's almost the reverse, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, someone of his caliber, it's interesting that he wants to keep making movies in the same universe when it seems like most directors of his league aren't interested in that.
Well, and the one thing you can say about Prometheus, and I'm not a hater, I'm not a lover or a hater, I'm agnostic, but Ridley Scott was not the problem with that movie.
No, not at all.
I mean, it was whatever problems there were kind of on the script level, but on a production design level, on a direction level, I mean, that was all tip top.
Totally.
Right. Now, one franchise that is not in any question is, of course, Star Wars. And do we have any Star Wars news, Brian?
Yeah. It's one of those things where I actually thought, we had for years had Star Wars news leading up to episode 7. And for some reason I was thinking like, oh, well, what are we going to do now? We won't have that segment anymore, but there's Star Wars news like every day. There's going to be Star Wars news for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
But obviously there's Rogue One things going on, but it's funny, when episode 7 was coming up, we were all so careful about spoilers.
Yeah.
And now with Rogue One, it seems like people are like, oh, I heard Darth Vader's in it.
Right.
It's like that wall has been broken,
Right.
The barrier or whatever you want to call it. And again, that's a rumor. I have no idea if that's true or not. But
I mean, that was a rumor that was broken on JoBlo.com.
Mm-hmm.
So by virtue of the fact that our good friend Paul Shire broke that story, I'm willing to put the weight of God's very word.
Well, there you go. There you go. But I was going to talk about episode 8, which is interesting because I was surprised to find out that episode 8 was scheduled to be released in May 2017. So that isn't even 2 years from episode 7. That was only like a year and a half.
Right.
That was totally to my surprise. So we would have Rogue One in December, and then this December, and then episode 8, 5 months after that. But anyway, doesn't matter anymore because that got moved to December 15th, 2017. So Star Wars, which used to be a May movie, the first 6 films were all released in May. Now it looks like these new movies, 2 movies now, are going to be released in December, which is interesting for several reasons, which have since, as time has gone by, changed. But originally, episode 8 was going to open 10 days before Avatar 2.
That's right.
Which was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Staring contest between these two juggernauts. But since Avatar 2 has moved its release date, I feel like it has a new one now.
They don't have a date yet. They have. I think they've announced when they're going to start filming.
April.
This April,
am I right?
Yeah.
So who knows when that'll actually come out? But
when you think about it, first of all, I credit myself with Disney's decision to move Star Wars Episode 8 to Christmas, because obviously they listened to my arguments for that.
In terms of box office?
No, well, I said that it makes sense to do it in December because you have the field to yourself, and as opposed to summer. And obviously, they listen to the show because
oh yeah,
very short.
Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Kathy.
Now the Avatar thing is kind of interesting because when you think about it, Disney would not want to be in direct competition with Avatar 2 because they're spending a lot of money making Avatar Land.
Right. Which makes you believe that, of course, they were in conversation.
That's exactly right.
And
so
they knew
I'm
that
sure,
it wasn't going to come out. And But what's interesting also about that is we've heard, I don't know if this is a rumor or not, but I've read in several places that they have shut down for a month to let Rian Johnson rework the script a little bit. And what they have, I think, officially announced, which I find kind of surprising, is the reason they're doing this is they had all these new characters that they were going to introduce. And again, this is what Disney has said. They were surprised by fans being so taken with the characters in episode 7, Rey, Finn, Poe, that they wanted to beef up their parts in episode 8, which to me seems really hinky. It's like,
now, why is that?
You were surprised that your new main character, that people liked your new main characters?
I see what you're saying.
Like, what? that just, to me, seems kind of odd. I mean, and you weren't going to have them be the main characters in episode 8. It just feels odd. I mean, you have to assume, I don't know what their plans are, but you have to assume Rey is the new Luke Skywalker.
Sure.
So let's just say that and then leave all the other characters out of it. So they're surprised that people loved her so much, which again, I find kind of weird, but okay. So they felt like they need to give her a bigger part in episode 8. Like, I mean, you weren't going to give Luke a big part in the second Star Wars movie. I don't know. Something about it just seems really weird. I mean, do you agree?
Well, now that you mention it and frame it that way, and because I've been watching so much X-Files lately, I'm willing to believe that there's a conspiracy. I mean, that does seem odd. I read the same thing you did, and I didn't give it much thought, to be honest. But yeah, that, like, well, I mean, they were, you think they were going to be introducing a new batch of characters?
I don't know. I mean, if you're constructing a trilogy, that seems kind of odd to me.
Sure.
But who's to say? I don't know. Or maybe they had some sort of new villain that was going to come in or something, and they realized, let's just keep it Kylo Ren because it's cleaner.
Sure.
He was going to be on the sideline. Who knows?
You know what I do find of interest is that they didn't have the whole trilogy already figured out.
Kind of interesting, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Like they are they're doing it the Lucas way. They're composing as they go.
Which is interesting because to me that seems insane. And the writers of Lost get criticized for this all the time, not knowing where they're going. But I remember listening to Vince Gilligan, the showrunner and creator of Breaking Bad, and he said that's exactly what they did. Let's see. I don't want to spoil it, but in one of the last seasons, let's put it this way, there's a machine gun that's introduced in the last season, and it comes into play brilliantly at the end of the season.
Sure.
And when you listen to an interview, he's like, yeah, when we introduced that machine gun, we had no idea what we were going to do with it. And you're like, what?
Right.
I mean, that show was brilliant. Just top to bottom, beginning to end, brilliant. They had nary a misstep. And to hear that that's how they made that show, like they didn't know where they were going and they introduced stuff because they thought it was cool and they would figure it out later. Some people apparently can do it. So I don't know. But yeah, back to what you were saying, Star Wars, when it's just 3 films, you'd have to imagine they have a skeleton that they're at least trying to stick to. I don't know. But
yeah. Well, that's probably what it is. They probably have some benchmarks figured out as far as like major beats that they want to hit.
Yeah.
But they don't have the full, I mean, obviously a Rian Johnson Star Wars movie is going to be very different from a Lawrence Kasdan, J.J. Abrams Star Wars story. And that's what I'm most interested in. Like, I want to see what Rian Johnson does in this universe.
I agree. And part of me wonders because John Boyega has said he had read before the rewrite, had read the script and said that it was much darker.
Yeah.
So part of me wonders if they are working on lightening it up a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Could be a possibility,
Yeah.
Too dark,
this is one of those things. Yeah. Or people liked what they liked about the first one, so they want to make sure not to tamper with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the first one felt, light.
Sure.
Right. I just wish I just hope someday that we get to hear the story, the behind the scenes. I would really be curious. Like with Crystal Skull, I remember there was that whole thing with Frank Darabont that he wrote this draft of the fourth Indiana Jones film, spent a long time on it, and everyone liked it except Lucas.
Right.
So they went and made the version that they made. People weren't crazy about it. And I was like, man, too bad we'll never know Frank Darabont's version of it. And then sure enough, like 2 months later, we all have the script, in our hands. So I'm just kind of hoping that we just, as people who are interested in this sort of thing, I hope that we get to hear the creative process.
Sure.
How they put this new trilogy together, because I'm really interested in it. So
yeah, well, and just speaking of the new characters, my kid just had his birthday last week, so I got him the new Star Wars figures, and I was pretty happy with how he reacted to them. So just he's excited to be able to partake of this new generation.
That's cool.
Yeah. We actually went and I let him pick out. Actually, it was almost a test. I was like, I wanted to see if my kid is a racist, basically. So I was like, you can get Finn or Poe Dameron, and he picked Finn. So I was happy about that. Actually,
nice.
Yeah. So I was like, my kid's not a racist. I mean, as a parent, you wonder about that.
It's hilarious.
You're like, how much work do I have to do? What's the foundation that I'm building on from? I'm like, okay, it's a good foundation.
Yeah. So far so good.
Because all things being equal, if you have to pick between Poe and Finn, well, who has more to do in the film, right?
Sure.
Poe.
Sure.
My contention is the only reason you pick the Poe figure is if you're racist.
I'm curious about Poe, honestly, because he's an interesting guy.
But is he a good pilot, Brian?
He's a hell of a good pilot. But like, I don't know that I could describe him.
That's exactly.
So should I be looking forward to him coming back?
Well, what's interesting is I 100% agree with you. He really, in a lot of ways, is like Qui-Gon Jinn, where we like him because of the guy playing him.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
Right. Yeah. Because the Qui-Gon is the same way, where it's like, he's like a Jedi and we like the Jedi, and he's Liam Neeson. It's like, here, he's like a rebel pilot and he's Oscar Isaac, and it's cool, but he's a total blank slate. And you realize that, well, he was supposed to die in the first third of the film.
Right.
And
right.
when you realize that, it makes all the sense in the world, that it was a totally. Abrams-esque swerve.
Right.
Right. But, they have a new Poe Dameron ongoing comic book series that they're going to be launching.
Huh.
Yeah, and it's going to be set before The Force Awakens.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm interested. I don't know. I don't know if I ever talked about it. Do you read the Star Wars comic books?
Yeah, I'm up on whatever the trade is. So okay. I guess 8 issues.
That's one of those things where I read them with my boys and they just love them. But I look forward to all those series. They're really good. There's a series called Kanan, which is about the main character from Star Wars Rebels. Mm-hmm. It's a whole backstory, and it fills in the stuff for the Rebels TV show. And it's just a legit, good series,
Oh, nice. Well, yeah, the Star Wars, specifically with Luke, Leia, Han, whatever. Yeah. You and my friend Mike Olson, he both you guys wholeheartedly recommended them. So I was like, hands down, all right, blind buy. So I went out and bought it, and I totally enjoyed it.
It's a solid series,
Yeah, totally in the voice and the tone of the original film.
You absolutely can. And the cool thing that they're doing is that during the course of that series, they had Luke, he found Obi-Wan Kenobi's old journal.
Yeah.
And so what they're doing is periodically, between big storylines, they'll do a lost Obi-Wan story. Mm-hmm. And it's, I think this last issue, it's like what happened that made Owen Lard stay away from Luke. Mm. And it's that story. And I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So some cool stuff in there. So definitely check that out.
Yeah. Well, real quick, sorry, before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
moving Star Wars to December 15th, 2017. What's weird about that is now the same date that Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One is coming out.
No, it's not.
You think that's going to move?
Of course it's going to move.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, though.
Yeah. I think
they haven't moved it yet.
Well, I mean, I think it's just a matter of time, right?
Sure.
I think Star Wars gets to kick other people around for the time being.
Sure. And you would say that Steven Spielberg is a friend of Star Wars. So it's kind of a...
Yeah. So, I mean, I would assume that it's just a matter of time until we hear that announcement that it's moving. Yeah. But speaking of moving, well, no, I don't really have a good transition.
Wow, that's a first.
Yeah. We want to be thinking about moving 2 weeks ahead from today, because that's when we'll be talking about Deadpool in our next episode. But that wraps up this episode. Brian, anything you want to hype up while we've got you?
No, just basically the Bob's Burgers comic book, which I'm still writing for. Volume 2, I'm in issues 1, 2, 3, and then I'll be coming up again in a couple months. My stories will start appearing again. But for now, I'm friends with all the guys who are writing right now, and they're all really good. So I recommend checking that out, especially if you're a fan of the show.
And watch the TV show.
Yeah.
And of course you can find Brian on Facebook and Twitter and all that other stuff. So he's there. Yep. As for me, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Zaki's Corner, and I'm online at zakiscorner.com. That's ZAKIS Corner. Also at the Huffington Post, where my movie reviews go up regularly. And of course, come back next week for the next episode of the Nostalgia Theater podcast, where I will be presenting my interview with Tad Stones, the creator of Darkwing Duck.
Very cool.
Yeah, this is the 25th anniversary of Darkwing Duck, so I was really excited to be able to talk to the man who created. He also shared some fascinating stories about making the Aladdin straight-to-video sequels and what that was like as far as... I don't know if you remember this, but they made Aladdin 2, and Dan Castellaneta was the voice of the genie.
Right.
And he didn't come back. Robin Williams didn't come back for that because essentially Disney pissed him off. And so they had to jump through some hoops to get him back for the third one. So he shares that whole story because he actually directed both of those straight-to-video sequels.
I really want to hear that.
Yeah, so that's coming up next week on Nostalgia Theater. And with that, my name is Zaki Hassan. On behalf of my friend Brian Hall, this is the Movie Film Podcast. We will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Enjoy the show. Zaki and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.